Hey y'all, it's me, Stop, Drop, and Roll On, and
Pierre.
we just doing some pillow talk, so that's why it's dark. Also, y'all get to see Pierre's handiwork because this is how dark the room is, and see you can kind of, if I don't know, like if you see some dots or something, like this is how dark it is. This camera is right in my face, and you can't see me at all. Let me see. There's my ring right there. That dot right there. That's my ring. But other than that, it's dark in here. So that's Pierre's handiwork from the drapes. But we was laying up here talking about some stuff, and we got to talking. We were talking about how like where Scranton lives at now. How the whole street used to be inhabited by different people, and then we moved in. Well, actually, some other people moved in the neighborhood, and then the neighborhood got repopulated. And I was telling them about how when we moved into the house, the one house, the first house, because every house on that street has, it sits on at least a acre of land. And in the backyard, in that, on our house, it was no different than anybody else except for the people that lived in the house never went in the backyard. And so it was overpopulated with trees and vines and stuff. And I was telling him how it took us several days to clear the land off, and how now I'm just amazed, when I go home and go back there that it's there is no evidence. And I often think about this, how sometimes I wish that I was kind of like real vigilant about taking pictures, because at that point I was a kid. But I just think about, even since we've been living here, in this state, how certain things have changed, like the landscape changes, and people come, and you don't even know how you don't know how it was before. And so you just assume, your basic mind just assumes that that's how it's always been. But I remember I had a patient that kept he was really good about taking pictures, and he had old pictures from like the 30s and the 20s, um, of how certain landmarks here in a burb that's on the other side of where we live, how that used to exist. And you could see some things to let me know that, okay, this is where this is now, but it was totally different. And so I always think about historical landscapes and stuff like that. And we just segued over to, I was telling him about how the street used to be, because Pierre knows the street one way. But when we lived there in that particular house, um, the backyard was just, it was uninhabitable back there. It was just, like I said, trees and vines. And it took us like 2 3 days, and it was a family effort of cutting down trees you could burn. So the men were cutting the trees down and grinding stumps and stuff, but not, they didn't have a stump grinder. They just had, like, what are those, chainsaws?
Uh,
Chainsaws. And the cords and stuff running from the house, and they were just something else when I think about it now. And hmm, and we burned, the women, it was just like something. When I think about it now, it's just unreal. And it has stayed pretty tame up to this point. So uh, my sister lived in that house, and now since she's gone, my her daughter moved into the house, because it's that house. Like I said, is that house. And then I won't go into all that, but we were just talking about that. And then Pierre was telling me about they had to do something similar at his grandma's house.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Well, we were kids and we just planted a garden out in the backyard. We had to clear out a bunch of stuff. We had the weeds were almost as thick as trees, and we had to get rid of all of that. We had to try and there was also a hornet's nest
Who got in that?
underneath the bushes.
Who got in that?
We did. We didn't know no better. We was out there bombard the hornets nest until we got stung.
That's not funny.
And we
But
left
that's
that.
them ground, they got, call them, I think, ground wasp. And they build nest on the ground.
Yeah, it was under a bush,
Mm-hmm.
and
Those are ground wasp.
there was no more fooling around with that.
Yeah, everybody got stung.
I don't know. I did.
And you would be the ringleader.
Mm.
So, what did y'all plant? I mean, did your grandma help? Was she handicapped
No,
at
but
that point?
well, actually, her sister helped us out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they all lived together. The mother and my grandmother's
Oh,
sister.
I'm thinking. You know, what I'm thinking. You talking about
Mm.
the other lady,
What up, lady?
Coleman.
Yeah, that's her. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. They're the ones that had the big old monstrous house.
Mm.
I mean, that was.
Every time you describe that house, it makes me wish that I could have seen it.
I really wish that they hadn't torn it down. I tried to talk
Don't
talk my,
don't go into all that.
but she didn't want it, so
Mm.
so anyway, but that house was huge. Oh man.
Mm. Well, go on with the garden. The people are listening.
Well, we planted some stuff,
What was stuff?
lettuce and uh, what else did we plant? Oh, green beans.
You said green beans like there's a dirty word.
No, they were just my aunt just gave us some seeds. We just stuck it in the ground.
Y'all
We
was some accidental farmers.
we didn't know what we were doing. We just
But it grew, didn't it?
yeah.
Well, that's how God do.
So and then we had a behind us. There was one, like I said, I had a friend I used to play with when I was a kid. He lived on the other side of the fence behind her house,
Mm.
and they had a grapevine on the fence,
Oh my God.
and we used to braid that thing. You know, didn't wash the grapes. We just eat.
Well, I think that that's what kids used to do. Cause when we had the garden, we'd be out there. You know, we had fruit trees back there in the backyard. We had 3 plum trees, dark plums,
Uh-huh.
the purple kind. It was a peach tree back there. That peach tree was kind of suspect because sometimes it had a temper or something. Because some years it wouldn't. It decided it didn't want to make peaches, and it just wouldn't.
Uh,
And then the next year, peaches everywhere.
yeah, our neighbor next to us in the house we grew up in, he had a peach tree,
Mm-hmm.
and
The
he had
bees.
he had a
Woo.
peach tree that grew over in our yard. Well, the branches hung over in our yard,
So y'all getting peaches.
and we had pear and apple tree in the backyard.
Yep.
And you couldn't do anything in the backyard for the bees.
Well, yeah, they got to do their work. That's how you had the
And you
peaches,
just
the fruit.
the fruit would get on the ground, it start rotting, and that makes it even more sweeter.
Well, see, we didn't.
And
Our stuff didn't hardly hit the ground.
yeah, well, you couldn't eat that much pear and
Well,
apple
no,
juice.
but see, after you get older, you realize that you can actually pick pears early. Once they get the size, you can pick them early before they get soft where you eat them. Some pears are, they hard and all of them are softened up, but we learned, you could go out there and pick them prior to, and then you just wrap them in newspaper
I
and
got
put
to the
them,
point I
keep
didn't
them
want
in.
I didn't want nothing to do with it. I was ready to cut the thing down myself.
There you go with that. Yeah, hewn to the ground.
Well, you get out there and have to clean up all that mess.
But we didn't.
You know,
We had it too, but I mean, it wasn't a lot because we were actually canning We were making jelly. I learned how to make jelly because
Uh,
we had crab apple. We had a crab apple tree, and we would make crab apple jelly. I knew how to make
I
uh,
I thought you couldn't eat that.
crab apples.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can eat crab apples. They for real. They look like little bitty tiny apples, and they're tart.
Uh, okay.
Yeah, we eat crab apples and make crab apple jelly. I learned how to make plum jelly. I learned how to make peach jelly. Pears, we learned how to make preserves, and then we would just eat the fruit too. And then we had the garden itself.
Uh,
But down the street at Nanny's house, Nanny is my grandma, y'all. Um, were the pecan trees, which is still down there. The house isn't there anymore, but the lot is still there, and it was nothing but pecan trees, apple trees, green apples, and what is it? What else was it? Pears, apples, pecans, walnut trees, and out in the front um was this big massive tree in the front yard, and that was a mulberry tree. And we always knew when the mulberries got ripe, because I mean this tree we couldn't climb it. We would have to wait for the mulberries to drop because it was that big, and it would just look like blood in the street when they would get ripe and drop, and we couldn't eat them all. We go out there and get them and wash them and go on, because you had to wash them things because they kind of remind you of like little raspberries, but they're
uh,
long and skinny.
uh,
And the cars would come down through there, even though it was a dead end street. The people that lived down at the tail end, they had to come through there. And there was one family that lived down on the end of the street. All they did was go up and down the street. Oh my gosh, them was the drivingest people. And they had a lot of kids. I think it was 10 kids. And they drive back and forth, and other people too, up and down. But when those mulberries got ripe and they were really dropping from the tree, it looked like blood in the street, like little. If you stood back far from it, it just looked red.
uh,
Then you get up close on it, and then you obviously it's just crushed berries, and that was on top of what we were eating. Cause we would come home from school and go out there and get mulberries and go in the house, take them in the house and wash them and sit out on the porch and eat them. And you have to, they're not that big, but they were good. They were good. So
uh,
that was the extent of the as far as the fruit. And the man that lived 2 houses up, he had some grapevines.
uh,
He wasn't braiding them, but when he first put them out there, he used a clothesline because people went and using clotheslines and stuff. Well, they were, but clotheslines were on their way out. People were using dryers and stuff, but I remember when we were kids, we used to have to hang clothes, you
uh,
know, with the clothespins and all that stuff.
yeah.
Matter of fact, um, before these kids start getting their ears pierced with these gun things that you go in the store and get, you decide if your parents, your mom really decide if you was gonna get your ears pierced, and then they just get an ink pen and put the center of the dot on each one of your ears. They make sure that the dots was even, and then you walk around for a few hours with clothespins stuck on the bottom of your ears,
Uh,
and that would deaden your ear. First, when they put them clothespins on, you just be wanting to beat everybody in the room up, 'cause it hurt. And then your ears would go numb. And they'd leave the clothespins on for maybe about an hour, hour and a half, something like that. 'Cause you couldn't feel it, after a little while. And then they take it off and burn a needle and put some white mercerized cotton thread on the needle, and some carbonated Vaseline you put on the thread and on the needle. And you burn the needle. That was sterilization. And then take the clothespin off and put the needle through your ear through that dot. That's how we got our ears pierced.
Hmm.
And run the thread all the way through, and you make a knot with the thread. That's how you keep the hole in the ear open with the thread in it. And you move your thread, a couple of, well, I can't even remember how long it went on because my mother was taking care of that. I just remember the process. And that's how we got our ears pierced with hot needles. We didn't have the gun, wasn't, if it was, I didn't know nothing about it. Ear piercing gun.
Hmm.
And then after your little piercing was I don't know, healed, then you would get some, start wearing earrings and stuff. But that's how we got our ears pierced. I don't know how other people were doing it, but that was,
I don't know how people doing these loops in their ears. That's the thing.
well, I know they wouldn't be doing it the old fashioned way. I was laying up here thinking then about how I bet it ain't gonna be none of that going on like these folks be getting their navels and stuff done. And I'm like, yeah, y'all do that now, but I bet you wouldn't been doing that in the old days.
Mm-mm.
So it's just something. But you was telling me about this Frankie. Gonna tell the people about Frankie.
Well, Frankie was a dog that my grandmother gave me when I was
Go.
real young, about, I don't know, 12, 13 years old. It was a doll that she made. And his body was just stuffed with straw and all of this kind of, I don't know what was inside Frankie, but
Frankie.
he had a wooden head, some little hands and arms and stuff. And he had a two-piece suit on. It's pinstripe suit that she made for him, pinstripe suit.
Mm, mm,
The
mm.
ugliest shirt I ever seen in a bow tie.
What color was the shirt? White?
Green.
Green?
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
So I
A
don't.
brown pinstripe
No,
suit.
yeah, it was blue, navy blue, real dark blue, pinstripe suit. Uh,
Frankie was ready for a Vogue cover. That's what
yeah,
that
well,
was.
yeah, he'd be in style now with all this weird stuff they wear nowadays. But
And a bow tie.
and a bow tie. He had I forget what color the bow tie was. I think it was purple or something or the other.
Wait a minute. Frankie sounded like he was flashy.
Uh-huh. And brown shoes, high top shoes.
She made the shoes?
No, well, you just I don't know. You just bought some kid shoes and put it on him.
Wait, he was that big?
Yeah, Frankie was about 3 feet tall.
All this
You
time?
couldn't you couldn't stand him up because his legs was
Well,
just
he had all this
stuffed.
conundrum inside of him.
Yeah.
No, you can't stand up if straw.
Well,
That's like the cowardly lion.
yeah. After a while, Frankie got old. His face started. He was black. His face started to fade, and the paint was coming off, and his head split, and all of
Split
that.
headache.
Yeah.
Nope, sorry.
But
Did the
we,
head come off?
well, the head came off because we. I had a neighbor next door, a
Okay.
girl I was going to school with, and we talked back and forth out our bedroom windows.
Mm-hmm.
So my brother and I, we had a third floor that was finished, and so we shared the third floor. And so we decided to play a trick on her one day. We said, let's get into an argument and then throw Frankie out the window, you know. And so my brother and I got it fussing and arguing and carrying on, and then we played like we were beating on each other and carrying on. And we took a rope and hung it around Frankie. And
Wait a
my
minute.
neighbor is watching all of this, and saying, "Look, y'all need to stop," and blah blah blah, and then you know
What
we
kind of
we played like it got real heated, and then I turned around and threw Frankie out the window. Well, she started screaming and hollering and carrying on and crying and boo-hooing and just got all upset. And then the body disconnected from the head. And she really lost it then.
Wait a minute. Did y'all get a whooping about
No.
decapitating Frankie?
No, but she thought it was my brother.
That dog was big then.
Mm,
All this
but
time I thought he was little like a
my
Barbie,
brother
like
was
a Ken.
he was much smaller then.
Mm.
But she thought I had thrown my brother out the window when it was Frankie. And his head came off, and his body was laying out in the driveway. She just lost
You know, this has been so, and apparently all this stuff that you and your brother been doing, that y'all still doing to this day, it's been going on for a long time.
it.
Bunch of
But
trash. That's
that
what it
that
is.
that was the end of Frankie.
What did y'all's grandma say when she saw him busted
Well,
all up
she
like that?
she didn't know. If Frankie had, I don't know how long she had Frankie. I don't even know when she made him.
I know one thing.
But she had him for a while. So we told him Frank he was old. We had to throw him away and blah blah. So she said, well, that's fine.
I'm
But
just trying to figure out why all this time I thought that Frankie was I thought he was small. I didn't know that he
no,
was.
Frankie was about like this. He was about
I
fif-
can't see what this is.
he
It's
was
dark
about
in
three
here.
feet, three
Oh.
feet long.
Mhm. Mm.
And like I said, my brother at the time was, he was in elementary school. He wasn't that tall. So,
Mm.
but
Y'all probably scarred that girl for life. She probably right now messed up somewhere, having to take a pill because of y'all's antics.
it took her a while to get over
I
that.
wouldn't have talked to you no more. That would have been the end of our friendship. That would have just been it. I'd have put the X up on you, and that would have been all. Well, y'all, Pierre done got up and had to go in there and take a pause for the calls, and I'm gonna end this video here. It's the kind of mess we be talking about, y'all. We just be doing stuff. Anywho, I will talk to you all later. Toodles.